trying to accomplish something, then do it over and over and over again, and it surprises you what you can actually accomplish as a human being. And my dogs, with Quito and single lead, were absolutely and utterly dedicated to our goal of continuing down the trail. We got blown by this wind over and over and over again, and probably the scariest part was the fact there wasn't a lot of snow. So a lot of the times we would hit these ice ponds, for lack of a better word, and the wind would hit our team, and we would sail a couple 100 yards towards the open ocean. And it was dark, and I didn't know where the ocean started and the land stopped.
This is hurricane force winds. I mean, it's close to 60 miles an hour. You can
we
imagine.
had a hard time. We had an incredibly hard time. So in that moment of life, I didn't think about Jeff King. I didn't think about Dallas Evie. I didn't even think about you, I'm sorry. I thought about my dogs and myself, and we were this united team of just trying to continue to go in the direction that we knew we had to go. We knew we had to stay between the ocean and the lagoon. I never saw a trail marker, but bless her heart, little Quito kept looking for the best route. And so we went, and it was a whiteout too, so you couldn't really see. And all of a sudden, after I thought I probably couldn't try any harder, this building popped out of the blizzard, and it was the safety checkpoint. And Quito was like, oh, hey, here, we're here. And I was on my last wit there. I was worried about 3 dogs. I was worried about Pud, and I was worried about Chica, and I was worried about Waylon. Waylon has a really short coat, and for some reason, Willie, his brother, kept getting on the other side, and I wanted Willie to be on the wind side, but Willie was like, I ain't being on the wind side. So I was worried about Waylon getting cold. I was worried about Chica, who seemed to have a sore foot to me, and I was worried about Pud, who really had a sore foot. But I literally could not stop for that time to check them. So it was very hard for a person to realize that their dogs might be not in 100% and they had to keep going. That was very challenging for me. So I got to safety, and they said, it's yours to win. And I was like, well, I'm not going anywhere. And they said, of course, I said, well, where's Jeff? And they said, he's camping. And I said, you're not camping out there. And to be honest with you, in that moment, I really thought Jeff was in a very big pickle. So immediately I got the veterinarian, and he said, you're staying? And I was like, yeah, I got to see what's going on here. Anyway, so I hunkered my dogs in a big pile, and they were actually in a big pile, and I put dog food sacks. We all send those food drop bags out to checkpoints, and I stole everyone's food drop bag, and I put it around my dogs so that it protected them from the wind. And the vet started to go through my dogs, as they do, and I started to go through them, and I heard him yelling, because you couldn't hear very well in the wind. He said, Aliy, do you know there's snow all in their booties? So he took a booty off and poured all the snow out of Pud's booties and Chica's booties, and that's why they were limping. And I just was like, it just took my feet out from under me. So there was no, in my mind, physical way that me and my team could have left at that particular moment. It was impossible. We couldn't have gone back into the wind that was blowing. It wouldn't have been smart, so it didn't happen. So I went inside, and I remember actually trying to get inside was a challenge. I walked into the cabin, because everyone else had gone back inside. I tried to walk to the cabin door, and the wind blew me off my feet, and I fell on the porch, and I actually crawled on my hands and knees into the door, and all the guys were in there like, hey, Aliy's here. So then I got there, and let's just say I had to sit down for a little while, and the concern was Jeff. Honestly, the concern was Jeff's dogs. Let's just be honest. And so he was lost. They said he was camping, and he appeared later, because he got a ride with the snow machine, but his dogs didn't. So then really the concern was Jeff's dogs. So I got on the phone and I talked to the race marshal, and he's like, he wanted to say, Aliy, come on, because he's a friend of mine, but he's a race marshal, so he can't. And he's like, what are you doing there? I I was like, it's really, really, really bad here. And I told him that if he ever saw any of the trackers out there stopped, that he should really, really worry. It's not a good thing. It's a life or death thing. And he said, yes, we know. And later he told me, yes, we know, but there's nothing we can do. There's no one we can send out in a life or death situation. It's impossible. So anyway, the Jeff thing happened. They ended up sending out the cameramen who were there to record what was going on. They sent the cameramen out to the GPS location where they knew Jeff's dogs were. So they rescued them. So they went out while I was still there, and that made me feel a lot better. And then we saw a headlight coming. And to be honest with you, I was like, it's positive either way. It's either Jeff's team coming back safely or it's Dallas coming safely. But I started wandering around the checkpoint, and I hadn't really been outside all that much. And when the headlight came in, it was Dallas, and I opened the door, and I looked outside, and he never looked at me. I'll give him that. He never did. And I watched his dogs, and it wasn't blowing that bad. It was blowing. It was still 45 miles an hour, but he was able to switch some leaders out. The dog jackets were kind of blowing like this, and I thought, hey, I can go, you know? So I dilly-dallied, perhaps a little too much, and I put some dog buoys on dogs and got them all lined out and everything, and then we took off 20 minutes after Dallas, and 2 minutes and 22 seconds, a little bit too shy. So that's the story.